Welcome to the Catholic Couch, the official audio podcast of the Catholic Counseling Institute. I'm Amber Pilkington, Catholic therapist, wife, and mother. Around here, we talk about real issues with real faith, blending the wisdom of the Catholic Church with the best of psychology, so you can find clarity, peace, and purpose in your relationships, your vocation, and everyday life. Whether you're folding laundry or driving the carpool, pull up a seat and let's
Welcome to the Catholic Couch, the official podcast of the Catholic Counseling Institute, where we integrate the wisdom of the Catholic faith with modern psychology and give you real tools for real life. I'm Amber Pilkington, Catholic therapist, wife, mom, and woman who wants to help Catholic marriages heal before they collapse. Today, I want to talk about something that comes up a lot when couples are facing the fallout of pornography use in marriage. Should we get a counselor or a coach? Maybe you're in that place right now. Maybe one of you just disclosed a hidden struggle with pornography, or maybe you found something on a phone or browser history that shifted your whole reality. There's a before and after. And now you're in the middle of that after, trying to figure out what kind of help is going to bring actual healing. So let's take a breath and walk through this together. I want to speak plainly, lovingly, and clearly here, because the choices you make in this early phase matter. Not all help is the same. And when you've been hurt by betrayal, especially something as personal and spiritual as pornography, the way you receive support will either lay a foundation for healing or unintentionally deepen the pain. Let's start with what the science tells us. Counseling-based approaches, especially cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, have been consistently shown to reduce problematic pornography use. In one study, a 12-session CBT protocol led to a 75% reduction in daily pornography use. Participants' clinical scores dropped by 2/3 or more. A larger meta-analytic review confirmed this. Counseling had large effects on reducing use, compulsive sexual behavior, and overall symptom severity. Craving levels improved modestly, and there was a moderate effect on depression symptoms. Other therapies, like acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, have also shown success. Internet-based CBT programs, despite high dropout rates, still yielded significant improvements for those who completed them. These approaches are grounded in years of research and clinical experience. Now, here's what's equally important to understand. Out of all the studies we reviewed, not a single one evaluated coaching. There was no operational definition, no comparative study, and no data on outcomes related to coaching for pornography use. In other words, we currently have no empirical evidence about whether coaching is effective for treating pornography addiction. That's not a criticism. It's just the state of the research. So what does that mean for Catholic couples? It means we have strong evidence that counseling works to treat the root causes and symptoms of pornography addiction. We have no such evidence for coaching. Now, that doesn't mean coaching has no value. It can be incredibly helpful, especially when the right boundaries are respected. A good Catholic coach can help you build daily habits of virtue, stay consistent with filters and check-ins, create shared goals, and reinforce a spiritual plan of life. Coaching tends to focus on forward movement, on practical, motivational, action-based support. It shines in helping people stick to the changes they've already committed to. But, and this is important, coaching is not a trauma treatment. Coaches are not licensed or trained to work with nervous system dysregulation, emotional flashbacks, attachment wounds, or clinical betrayal trauma. And for many spouses, especially wives who discover their husband's hidden pornography use, the experience is traumatic. It's not just emotionally painful. It can cause physical symptoms, sleep disturbances, anxiety attacks, difficulty concentrating, and what researchers call global mistrust. One study described this as an attachment fault line, a crack that spreads across the whole relationship. The woman often questions her own judgment, her sense of safety, and even her spiritual worth. She might think, was I not enough? Did I cause this? Is something wrong with me? And that can send her into a spiral of shame and hypervigilance. That spiral is not something a coach is trained to walk through. It's at this point that a licensed counselor is critical. Therapists trained in emotionally focused therapy or betrayal trauma models are equipped to guide couples through the storm, not by jumping to fix it, but by first reestablishing emotional safety. They slow the process down because what's needed isn't just behavior change, it's relational healing. If you're in the early stages, right after discovery or disclosure, the priority isn't forming new habits. It's stabilizing the relationship, understanding the rupture, and giving space for regulated, honest, supported disclosure. The body and the relationship must be restored to communion, not just function. And that takes time, safety, and guidance. Coaching may become useful later on, after the trauma has been named, processed, and the couple is moving toward reconnection. Then coaching can support long-term behavioral change. It can help with things like virtue tracking, relapse prevention, prayer routines, couple check-ins, and even preparing for the sacrament of reconciliation as part of the healing journey. But again, that's later, not in the first wave of crisis. It's also important to understand the difference in training and accountability. Therapists are licensed professionals. We go through years of graduate school, thousands of hours of supervised training, state board exams, and continuing education. We're legally and ethically bound to protect your confidentiality, to know our limits, and to report harm. Coaches do not go through that process. Some coaches are excellent, others are not. And because coaching is unregulated, it's up to the consumer, you, to vet whether the coach you're listening to is operating within their scope. So here's a simple way to think about it. If you're bleeding, you go to the ER, not the gym. Once you're stable and the wound is closed, you start rehab. And that's where a trainer, a coach, a motivator might play a role. Therapy stabilizes and heals the wound. Coaching helps with long-term strengthening. But trying to coach your way through an open wound, that's where couples get stuck. That's where they re-traumatize. That's where faith-based communities, even with good intentions, sometimes cause harm. Now, let me speak to the fear that often shows up here. Maybe you're thinking, but I can't afford therapy, or I don't want to overreact, or even he said he'd stop and I want to believe him. I hear you. And I want to say this gently and clearly. This isn't about overreacting. It's about responding wisely to what is, not what you wish it was. And yes, therapy can be an investment, but not getting help is far more costly to your health, your family, and your spiritual life. And if you're a husband listening, please hear this too. Your struggle does not define you, but it does impact your spouse. It's not enough to say, I'll try harder. Real healing begins with honesty, humility, and the willingness to let someone else guide you back to communion, not just with your wife, but with God. The Catechism teaches us that sin wounds human relationships and impairs communion, but grace restores what sin has damaged. That's what we're after here. Not just sobriety, but restoration. So if you're facing pornography in your marriage right now, ask yourselves, are we trying to coach our way through a situation that needs counseling? Are we seeking transformation or just symptom relief? And ask, are we trying to avoid the pain by jumping ahead to solutions, or are we willing to go through the healing process with the right kind of help? God can use many instruments, but he also asks us to use wisdom. And if your relationship has been wounded by this, it deserves more than generic advice or quick fixes. It deserves careful, compassionate, faithful care. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure you know where to go if you're looking for the right kind of help. Start with your health insurance. Go to your plan's website and request a list of in-network providers. Then take a few minutes to look up each therapist's website individually. You might find someone who not only accepts your insurance, but also specializes in the kind of healing work you need. It can take a little digging, but it's worth it. And it could save you a lot of money. If you're looking specifically for a Catholic therapist, two great directories are catholictherapists.com and the Catholic Psychotherapy Association. These are great starting points. But remember, just because someone is Catholic or supports marriage doesn't automatically mean they're trained in betrayal, trauma, or attachment rupture. You want someone who knows how to walk with couples through the specific trauma that pornography can cause in a marriage. Look for a therapist trained in emotionally focused therapy, or EFT, or one listed on the Gottman Institute website. You can also search for marriage-friendly therapists or use the EFT directory to find someone trained in the attachment injury repair model. And since therapists in the United States are licensed by state, don't limit yourself to your immediate area. You can work with any therapist in your state who offers telehealth, and many do. That means even if your local options are limited, you can still find qualified, faithful help. And just so you know, this isn't me promoting my own practice. I only work with couples who live in Texas, so this is really about helping you wherever you are in the world. I want you to find someone who can walk with you wisely, compassionately, and skillfully. To make that easier, I've created a free resource guide that includes directories, book recommendations, and key questions to ask when you're reaching out for help. You can download it at the link below. You don't have to navigate this alone, and you don't have to settle for help that isn't a good fit. If this episode gave you clarity, please share it with someone else. You never know who might be struggling in silence. Until next time, I'm Amber Pilkington, and I'll always leave a place for you on the Catholic couch.